Here we
And
go.
let's talk about Consume, because Game King is going to try to get through immediately with his targeted deck. So he's going to try to see if he can get a win in here, and the best time to do it is when you're on the red coin, just to give it a shot. And he's going up against Alchemy. Now, is this the matchup that Game King wanted to catch?
I am not so sure about that. Like, the thing is, this is what it comes down to. Like, the more games you play with this deck, the more of a chance you have to actually get a win with it. And if Game King manages to get a win with his Arrakis Queen, then it becomes much easier for him. So this, while it is obviously a rather advantageous matchup for the Alchemy Nilfgaard, we only see Mandrake in Asacop's hand. He does not have access to Swears, which is a very important tool here. He could search for it through John Calvate. So even though Asacop has the text, it doesn't. He doesn't have the auto win. Let's just go with that. Right? Like, this is going to be very interesting. We see triple, not one, not two, three Necker in Game King's hand.
That's
so Mandrake will not disrupt that. He can. Something that Asacop can do is he can play Mandrake from hand, and then he can return it to his deck through Azir and fish for it again through the likes of Vesemir. So he could potentially have two Mandrakes this game as he leads off with a Vic of our Novice, who happens to be a little bit greedy and takes that, Macameo all for himself. Not the most proactive opening for Asacop. A pretty bad one, actually. Was probably hoping for a Swallow Potion, but...
By the way, as a Canadian, I hate when beer gets wasted. So I'm already frowning.
Not sure if it's... yeah, okay.
Okay. So, I mean, the thing is, what you were talking about with the Mandrake and what could be possible is that these are the things that are possible. But, I mean, when we were talking about these matchups and how Asacop is preparing for Consume, we didn't really think that the stars would need to align for Asacop. We thought that the stars would need to align for Game King. 3 Neckers is in hand, which is like the polar opposite of what Tailbot had to go through in Game 3 of his series, where he couldn't find one at any point in the game. But also with Maelorn being that extra insurance, that if he's able to get one Necker Warrior off, he will be able to actually get a fourth one if he needs to, so he can still start building the train, start building up that horde of Neckers with the Warrior, Slizzard, the marching orders. Like, Game King definitely had access to everything he needed. You could even say that he has almost too much access. But I mean, getting the Vran is a big deal. He does need to find a Vran, but the Forktail is going to at least cover off the Slizzard Red Necker Warrior combo, and having all these Neckers available is going to at least cover him for any Mandrake shenanigans here.
You know what would be insane? If Asacop were to just play Viper Witcher.
Let us
because
see.
There's no Necker in his deck.
He would
so he would actually just pick up the Necker, and that would obviously you'd have to be a psychic for that. But if he were to do that, that would pretty much win him the game, because he would just be he would know that he could just deny Necker. That's that must feel like a bit
when they watch the
scary.
recaps, they might be like, "Ooh, the possibility." Viper Witcher kills
Viper Witcher would have won him the game.
3.
It's funny. I mean, it's a bad play, but it would have won him the game, which is crazy if you think about it. All right, down goes the Necker Warrior for Game King.
Yeah, I mean,
interesting to see Asacop not opting to go for Mandrake. I guess he's preserving it for the late game instead.
I mean, you do want to do that. Like, the thing, having the Mandrake does not just remove Neckers from the game. It also resets the Forktail, which is a huge thing. The Forktail usually comes down, and if it is forced to eat a large target, like a Cantarella in this situation here, or if it's forced to just eat gigantic Neckers because those are the only things on the board, that becomes just a mountain of points that the Mandrake can get value from.
You see, this Viper Witcher play may seem very confusing at first, but what he's doing is he's encouraging Game King to go for his Necker Warrior plays early on.
He's bluffing that he has Swears, perhaps?
Yes.
Well?
Whether he's bluffing or not is kind of irrelevant, though, because he wants to encourage him to play Necker Warrior. So that way Swears just can completely shut down his game plan here. But Game King is just gonna do his thing, and he wants him to keep on doing. He's like, hey, I'm making your life easier, bro. Just keep going for those Slizzards.
The twisted wish master, Asacop, giving you everything you wanted.
I think Game King cannot afford to play his last Necker Warrior here. I think he has to hold on to it. That's how you play around Swears. You just don't commit. Obviously, you hold on to the last Necker Warrior so that when Swears hits down, you can still, have a couple of copies of them. Obviously, they're going to be set to their base strength, so the timing of Swears is going to be absolutely crucial this match, and it's gonna matter. Like it's gonna mean everything. It's gonna dictate who wins. And obviously, Asacop has prepared very heavily for this matchup, so he knows exactly how to get it. Because of Alchemy's efficiency at thinning, I don't really think Asacop will have trouble finding Swears throughout this match.
Yeah, I mean, between Villagefort, Cantarella, and John Calvet, you see, you have your 10 cards in your hand, and you get to see so many in your deck right away. You know if it's possible, you know what you can do. Asacop's hand was pretty strong. He only had one alchemy card in his hand with the ointment. Which means that as far as thinning, he's more likely to be able to thin. He's looking for some more novices. We'll probably see John Calvet next if we don't see another Viper Witcher, I imagine, at that point. And then he's probably looking for, because the Forktail here coming down, it's not going to be the biggest fork. Well, he's going to Cantarella perhaps? I don't know if you spend Mandrake on the Forktail yet. That definitely seems early. It feels like definitely more of a clutch play later when you need to secure. Or is he considering eating the Necker here?
Yeah, he's gonna eat a Necker here. He was thinking about it, but I like this aggressive play from Game King. He is on red, so these sorts of plays will give him enough tempo to really pressure Asacop. And I think that's what he needs to do. Also, there's the Swears. There it is. He's gonna get 100%. Not opting to go for Triss. Obviously, you don't want to go for Swears here. You want to preserve that for later. But opting to preserve Triss for later as well, and just going for the reconnaissance onto Vicar Varnavis and thinning his deck by 3 cards right there, getting the Macameo.
It feels so good to know Swears.
14-point swing.
It feels so good to know Swears are going to be in your hand later. Like he just knows it's going to be there. So
definitely.
That's the key, right? That's the key to victory here. Asacop just letting Game King do everything he needs to do. Swears in the end, round 3. Definitely impactful. Now, we have seen in previous Gwent Opens, we have seen, I know it's a match that I'll always remember, Nudgwick versus Pronio, where Nudgwick did have 2 Swears against Consume, and it did not secure him the victory. So it's not an
auto win. People believe it's an automatic win, and obviously it's a game-winning tool, a resource, but you need to know how to play it, right? Oh, down goes Rocket's Queen, and he's going to cycle through yet another Necker.
Yeah, it's like if you're going to try to Swears me, I'm just going to get a lot of value from this right now. Red point push.
Yep.
And on top of the fact, like the thing about Swears, like we talked about how Consume has been a strong deck for, like, Challenger 2 was really rising to power. Slizzard was in the game, and people were starting to figure out just how crazy the Necker combo is with Warriors, Varans, and basically a very refined list we see right now. So when you have counters, the thing about really, really strong decks and metas is that they have to take the tidal wave of techs that crash into it over and over again. And if you can navigate techs and navigate counters, the deck is just proven over and over again that it actually has a chance. Unlike Coleman versus Super JJ, where it was so hard countered. That's like the one exception. But I feel like we've seen before that targeting it definitely makes you favored. And favored is very important, especially when you have, the coin can be on your side as well. Asacop passing on Consume, perhaps?
Ooh, interesting.
Again, he does know he's drawing Swears, so that's a huge safety net that's very comfortable here.
All right, pass by Asacop. See, the thing is, this pass prevents, because I think Asacop is playing around the possibility of Mandrake being in Game King's hand. He is 5 points ahead, which means that at this stage, Game King will not be able to afford a Mandrake play onto the John Calvet to win the round because it would tie him. I think Asacop is definitely fearing that, as he is running Kahir.
That's actually a really good catch. Exactly, yeah. It basically eliminates. I mean, the thing about Consume is normally you can go cards down, but not against Swears. I think that really changes the reach that you have.
I like this pass from Asacop. I think that may be one of the reasons as to why he opted to pass here. Like he's pushed them good enough, and he knows he's drawing to Swears as well. So, and he also guarantees having first say round 3. Not sure if that will matter, but. Who knows? Okay. The last Necker Warrior goes in.
So there it is. So I mean.
Okay.
I mean, there is a term I like to use all the time is make him have it, right? Make him have the answer, because if he doesn't. But there it is, right? There's Swears. I mean, it's not a write-off by any means. Game King has already shown that he's looking to squeeze the value out of the Neckers as quickly as possible. A late Necker Warrior, we see the 11-point Neckers in hand, but we know a lot of the decks, not a lot of the Neckers in the deck now are at 4 still. So they missed like a number of consumes, like 7 consume effects, some of these. So even the cycle of the Neckers here, the faster Game King can do it, to make Asacop think, am I missing value by not Swearsing now? Can I afford to Swears right now?
It's a big mind game.
It's really great approach
mind
here.
Game. It definitely. See, what Game King is trying to do here is he wants as many Neckers as possible in his hand. He doesn't want him in the deck. So Althor's Double Cross will pull out.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, you get your card back at least here, but Althor's Double Cross pulling out the Necker means that Swears misses 2 of them. I mean, the thing is, they're still on the hand.
We see Azir here to disrupt the early ADC. Azir can return Cantrella to his deck and disrupt.
That's true.
Althor's Double Cross, and I mean, Game King can play around that though, because all he needs is, I believe he just needs like a few more consumes.
Yeah, just 3 at this point.
Yeah, Azir's going down.
Well, 2 for the gamble,
We're gonna go
3
for
the
a long round 3. It's what Game King needs to do.
Cantrell and Forktail going
And
back
Forktail
in.
to deny
Denies the Slizzard, yeah.
Yeah, to deny the Slizzard.
Denies Phoenix in a way too.
But I think we're definitely gonna see Phoenix onto Slizzard.
Yeah.
See, one of the things here is that the problem with that play though is that if he goes, like, he has to Maelorn, because otherwise if he Phoenixes into Slizzard into Necker, then Swears goes down and the Maelorn is nothing. Like, the Maelorn just is a 4-point silver play. So well, I think he may be encouraged to actually, yeah, he needs a Brand Warrior there. He needs to be able to consume something so that he can get value out of the Phoenix, because I don't think he can afford to Phoenix Slizzard here. I think he has to Maelorn first.
I mean, if you're playing around Swears, you are more interested in pulling the Neckers out of the deck now than you are cycling them, because as soon as you drop the Necker on the board, that's
but
enabled.
The ADC though, this is a problem.
Yeah,
this is
the
awkward
ADC hurts
as hell.
But Maelorn gets one of them out as well.
Yeah, but the problem is if he goes Maelorn into
then you can never
Necker,
play ADC. You can't
never
play it anymore.
Althor's Double Cross. That is the issue.
And he's
that's the problem. If Swears goes down here, yeah, he's countering the Althor's Double Cross.
It's right there.
This Swears
not
is
even
nuts.
thinking about it.
Just going
Hop
for
to
it.
is 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 of them, I think. 3 or 4 went in there, because we did see 3 pulled out. There's 7 Neckers in the 6 Neckers in the graveyard there. A number were cycled in round 1, which is usually not. Usually you see a lot of the cycling happen much later in the game here. So, well, we're off the hook, Mogwai. No need to count anymore. We can count them 1, 2 in the hand, 1 on the board.
That was so good. That setup by Asacop, that Azir into the turn 2 Swears in round 3. That just, Asacop has a dead card in his hand because of that. Not only obviously the impact of not being able to consume his own Neckers here, but also like, and this Brand Warrior, it needs to eat something bigger as well. It actually needs to, because otherwise, well, I mean, if Vibe Witcher kills it, he does give him a target for Phoenix though, which is important. But this is looking bad for Game King. That ADC being dead is devastating for him. And we see Asacop not only with Triss, but Kahir and Vilgefort, an Alchemist player's dream right here.
This is on top of the Mandrake, which you know you're gonna hit a boosted unit with the Mandrake at the very worst. So I mean, I'm trying to reason there's Game King. He's mousing over that double cross. He's realizing that he may have, like, he could have played some stuff out of sequence for very low value. He could have played, I mean, the Forktail was denied from the Slizzard from the Phoenix and or the Marching Orders, so he only could Slizzard the Forktail. So he couldn't, and he didn't play a Vran in round 1. So that really hurt Game King right there, because he could have perhaps sequenced out something like Slizzard into Forktail just to get some bodies on the board so the Vran could get eating, and then the Neckers could get pulled from the Alzur's Double Cross. But because of the sequencing, the Alzur's Double Cross is deader than dead, negative 15 points.
Asacop's execution this match has been flawless, absolutely flawless. His pass to prevent the potential Mandrake onto John Calvate, the Azir sequencing onto the open pass into Swears to just for sure deny the Althor's Double Cross and actually turn it into a liability. The Viper Witcher preserving it in his hand and actually not dropping it, forcing Game King to drop down the Forktail and consume his own Brand Warrior, because by not killing the Brand Warrior with Viper Witcher, he's denying, as I said, Game King's ability to just capitalize on it with Phoenix.
Yeah.
Also, he has marching orders onto Slizzard as well. This is everything he's doing.
There, so that Mandrake
is amazing.
Asacop has no need to rush this Mandrake. It's only going to get better, if anything. That 31 is sticking around. Well, I mean, I just said that, but if he picks Sakamara, I mean, it does technically get worse, but
This
it's
is
still
this
the highest point
is
player that you would
Asacop's
consider
game.
playing here.
This is Asacop's game easily. He's in such a strong position. Not even using that because he knows he's gonna Mandrake.
Yeah, he knows
Mandrake, 31-point Mandrake. Come on now.
It brings the Forktail down to a measly 2 points. It is. I mean, we were talking about Game King preparing, trying to find ways of victory, but it's not like Asacop went to bed early. It's he's definitely thought about how Game King could play around it, and I think that, yeah, like you said, executed very well. On paper, it looks like one way can go. Like, when you look at these deck lists on paper, we talk to the players, not to you, literally on paper and figuratively on paper, but it always comes down to the execution that changes things. Mandrake just gets better and better. Game King is, the writing's on the wall for this one, I think, at this point. Not that I like to write people off early, but
I mean, with a 37-point silver in hand and already having a 28-point lead and also sitting at the hottest of point marks at 69, I just don't think Asacop can be stopped here.
Why you're a legend. Never change, never change.
I think he's got it.
I mean, this actually gets to the point where it's yeah, the 37-point Mandrake here. Now it's a clean 37 points because the Vran is deleted from history, banished to the Shadow Realm. And Viper Witcher is a tidy 16 points. Village Forts is always good because there's nothing really to worry about. I think on the pull, I think you're happy to see everything, and the ointments. Of course, Village Forts gets the best possible burn. I mean, at what point did anything go wrong for Asacop in this game? Did any single thing go wrong for him?
This is how he dreamt this matchup. Like this is he's clearly thought about this game. I was just gonna go with that. Like he knows what he's doing. He's in perfectly. Like look at it, 0 cards in his deck. This is
here comes
absolute dominating performance by Asacop here.
This will get the Forktail here as the Vran had to eat the Forktail to enable this Slizzard. I mean, the thing is, Game King's holding a lot of points, but the Mandrake is just huge. Plus point gap at this point over 40.
With Viper Witchers, like 2 Viper Witchers going down here.
Well, 40 plus if we're kind of counting the potential here.
And even though he's gonna have 2 20-point plays, Game King is gonna be so far up behind this game. It's nuts.
You could kind of say that one of these. You could kind of say that one of these neckers.
Look, did you see that? He knocked out the Slizzard to thicken the. Oh my God! Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can
Game
even
King
say
knows what's gonna happen.
I mean, it was just that was clean. That was surgical. That was just
dominating.
That was like watching
dominant performance by Asacop.
That was like watching a war veteran pilot a passenger plane. He's just a stud up there. It's just on autopilot at this point. So,
just absolutely denied.
Yeah, just denied. I mean, I've never seen anybody do that to somebody on a cast before. I think it was just we've seen denial before, but that one specifically with the Alzur's double cross also getting denied at the right time.
Yeah.
Game King essentially having the 19-point neckers that were really one of them was 4 points considering the negative value of the Alzur's double cross, which obviously could be discarded. But when you lose a card and you're already in that position, pretty rough. Game King tried his best. He tried to squeeze as much value as he could before the Swears. I wonder how close that game looks if Game King didn't have the dead Alzur's double cross. I think he would have to sacrifice so many points to make it work. So it's not. It was easy.
I just think with the way he set up that Mandrake as well, I just like the fact that he didn't remember when I said at the beginning of the match he could play Mandrake here to try to deny the Necker, or he could preserve it for the late game. And Asacop knew very well what he wanted to do with that Mandrake. And the fact that he held onto it and didn't just jump on the Necker immediately. That was a 57 at the very least point Mandrake towards the end. So like I said, we saw some records being broken at Challenger with triple-digit units, but I mean that for a silver card value was pretty good. Pretty good. Oh, this is the matchup though. Game King. Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah, okay. I think this is the matchup Asacop wants. He did want this? Because even though Game King is running Mandrake, if he does not run Mandrake, Game King is in massive trouble here, because this is Asakov's liability, believe it or not, because of the fact that Game King does have Mandrake in 2 of his decks. This is one of them. Like, it's consumed.
I forgot about the Dandelion Poet in Game King's list. That just, I mean, there's no Roach in this list, but it's Dandelion Poet makes it the extremely greedy list, especially in a Mirror Greedier. Greedier is better, and you can play Dandelion Poet comfortably if you're not trying to run Roach's Greed like we've seen Fanderman run in one of the Gwent Opens. He ran a Dandelion Poet and Roach Weavis. Like, it was just like every possible point you could squeeze out if you dodge like the bad draws from Poet. As Game King now has to lead off, the other tiny thing in Asacop's favor there, he didn't win on blue coin. Just one little extra point there. As Game King needs to pick himself up off the pavement, Asacop left him as nothing less than a stain on the road. Game King's gonna have to try to make things work here as Asacop with Maruna. All golds available with Royal Decree on Sabbath, Maruna and Weavis into, Weavis is active on the, oh, this is the reverse. Just wanna make sure that the Monster Nest is
Down
available
goes
there
Sabbath.
for the tribute. Here comes
Immediately.
Sabbath quickly. It's like,
What we hit?
make him
He
have
hits
it.
the
That's
necker.
what we're talking about. If
All
you
right,
got some
he
Mandrake-
needs Gels. He needs the Mandrake. He needs the Mandrake here.
Oh, he's waiting for the emote. He's waiting to know if it was
He needs.
answered or
It comes
not.
down to this. It comes down to this. If he does not have the answer, this is over.
Gels in
Does he get it?
two.
Does he get it? He got it.
He got it.
Oh,
It's so funny. The way the transition,
calculated.
the way the transition looked there, it was almost like Gels drummed 2 Mandrakes, like,
Oh, Game King dodging a bullet.
and Asacop
Oh my
loading
God.
it up, loading up the
Oh,
emote. He
boy.
doesn't like the look of this. Now, Sabbath isn't the only way Asacop wins. It's just one way that he can, really take around. Asacop's got some tricks up his sleeves too, but Game King with that information of what's in the deck list, Maruna's not going to surprise. Moonlight isn't going to surprise.
Now,
you know what you
here's
can
one
counter.
thing. Here's one thing. Game King can hold on to Frightener to counter Maruna. That's his only answer. He does not run Monster's Nest himself, which means that he is not able to spawn a Drowner to counter it that way. So, Frightener, I believe it's Game King's only answer to Maruna, and I think he has to hold on to it just so that Frightener doesn't, Maruna doesn't get like an insane swing, because that's Asacov basically like his last resource here.
As
Oh,
Game King is
man.
starting things up here, now Game King's starting to load up the win conditions. Here comes the Siren, going to set up some engines here. Now, unlike some of the lists, I mean, we saw in the Casper versus Game King Series 1, we saw Casper able to push an incredible amount of tempo into round 1 and really change Game King's game plan. Here, it's a little bit more point for point here. Both of these are setup decks. Obviously, it's a monster, kind of a twisted mirror, as we've seen, 2 players, 8 different decks, different approaches almost from every single player and every matchup, which is, the brackets have been an absolute joy, but as far as Asacop, he thinks the bracket's been a pretty good joy as well, as he's been able to queue into 2 targeted decks with the potential of actually queuing into another consume list.
This is huge for Game King, though. Like, if Game King can get a win here with his consume, everything changes. Like, the matchup flips on its head.
It changes even, like, maybe on paper how you would see this entire rest of the tournament playing out.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be huge.
This is Game King's game to win. Like, he has to get the win here if he
Now that he
wants
got
to
the
defeat
Mandrake?
Asacov.
Yeah.
The fact that he managed to get Mandrake with Gels there has given him the chance. He has to capitalize on it. But Asacov is really trying to pressure the fact that he's going second in this match by establishing double proactive weather and fog onto the siege road there. That is a total of 6 points swinging in Asakov's favor every single turn. And he has to try to shut him down, but we do know that sometimes Consume just does not care about residual damage. They will out-tempo anything under the right conditions. So it really comes down to how much proactive potential Game King has with his opening hand. But he's out of the woods with Sabbath at least.
Yeah. I mean, Monsters, I'm a big fan of Northern Realms and Monsters. Personally, those are my 2 favorite factions. But when you play against a lot of Monsters on the ladder, Monsters has been a faction over the course of the entirety of Gwent as a faction that seems to get something that just you find new ways to despise this faction. If it's not Consume, it's Sabbath. It's one way or another. And of course, I mean, Aridin had some pretty dirty tricks. There was one meta, I believe, early on. I think it was right before Challenger 2, where Aridin was actually a viable list. And man, the Irish shenanigans were pretty strong at the time. But the top tier monster decks right now between Sabbath and Consume are just despicable sometimes, really. Really just, I'm not going to let my personal opinion bleed too much into it. Tell us how you really feel, McBee. But I think the other thing to notice about Asakov's hand as we get back into the game here is the Adrenaline Rush. Because Game King has Frightener in hand, it's a little bit of a liability, but Asacop is also with a point lead and the Adrenaline Rush, he's maybe fine just to put that carryover onto the Alpha Werewolf, which means that if Game King is able to flip the coin around with Frightener, he then has the carryover, which forces Game King to go in maybe where he wouldn't, which gives Asacop his card back. So there is that to note. If Asacop is able to keep a healthy lead here, he may consider that.
We'll see. Asacop definitely wants to win this round on even. Game King is really debating whether to go down to 2 cards or not. He's hovering. Okay, he's gonna go for the. Okay, he's going for the tempo play. He's gonna consume the Necker here, I believe. Yep. He's going for the full-on tempo play with the Arrakis Queen.
He wants to play around Mandrake as well here. Now the biggest
Game King
Mandrake
doesn't mind going down -2, but he needs. It's very crucial. Like, Maruna has to be stopped here, so I really expect him to hold on to Frightener.
You can stop it with a pass, that's the thing.
Oh, I think we're going to see Parasite
Maruna is a control card. You need to have control of the round to really abuse it if your opponent doesn't have an answer.
Yep.
The pass is a very powerful tool, and I think at Homecoming we're going to see that as well. Lots of things can be passed on. And,
keep Parasite timing there by Asacop, denying the Ran Warrior engine for Game King. Game King is really far up behind. He is how many points? Like almost. Asacop was almost double the amount of points.
Him up a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, when you consider the Frightener I mean, there's just running out of options here, right?
He is. He definitely is. And even though he's managed to deal with Sabbath, because of Asacop's tremendous lead and the fact he's going on red, Game King may be forced out of this round. But he's going to go for marching orders here onto Slizzard.
Going to get that Vran probably out of the graveyard, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's going to go for Rain Warrior here.
The Consume train keeps on a-rolling.
He still has Dandelion Poet as well. He has Fork Tail to proc yours. Game King can still push. Yeah, and Asacop is running out of tools, even though he does have, like I said, the 6 residual, let's call it residual damage going on every single turn. Basically 4 for him, 2 against his opponent.
Something Game King might be considering here is because the Vran Warrior is lined up with the Necker, the turn in which he plays Frightener, he may be able to get a lot of those points back if he's able to play Dandelion Poet into Frightener and then the Vran gets the Consume on it. It might be able to it might be something that could be considerable at this point, but there's a couple options, running out of options. Here's the consideration of the Adrenaline Rush with the 10-point lead.
The problem with that is, again, I go back to it is his only answer for Maruna.
True.
Frightener is his only answer to disrupt Maruna, and I think that's too valuable, right? I don't know, because Maruna can be a ridiculous swing in the late game. So I feel like Frightener.
Yeah, Game King can't really consider playing Frightener now. This changes things because now Asacop is kind of protected from that flip, and Game King is that's a pass for Asacop. You have your passive point generation with Moonlight and the Fog, plus your carryover. If Game King commits Frightener here, it's a pass from Asacop, and I'm sure that he gets his cards back. Plus, with the potential of drawing into Mandrake still for Asacop, he does still have solutions for future problems in Neckers.
Same time, while Frightener does technically counter Maruna, Asacop could counter that as well with his own Frightener. It's like we saw with his matchup against Tailbot, right? When Drowner into Drowner basically kind of denied the Maruna counter there. So Maruna can be really devastating. The question is how much will it be?
I like this play with Poet because he was considering, he's like, okay, my play is Fork-tailed. I need tempo. I need to get value out of my Neckers. Because here's the thing about Consume. Something that I've loved about Consume is actually the tempo variant of Consume, where the Neckers aren't used as, you're not borderline abusing them with, the amount of points that you can just completely create out of thin air almost. But you are actually still using Neckers as a win condition later or as a tempo push because you have other ways to win with tempo Consume. This version of Consume that we see in competitive play is all in on the Necker Warrior strategy. But in this case, if Game King is thinking, okay, Asacop is targeting that, I am then going to maybe use the Neckers earlier just to get more value than I may otherwise be able to get. Because he's always worried about Mandrake in all of these matchups, of course.
I think we're going to see Mandrake now. Whisper's Tribute into Mandrake onto the Vran Warrior. Even though it's not as big of a tempo swing, it's pretty much all he needs to shut down. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's that kind of forward-thinking tempo strategy that could give Game King an edge here, but Asacop with the solution.
This is huge, especially considering Asacop has carryover as well. The fact that he was able to deny this is massive. That Brewis draw is actually a problem for Game King here.
There's just no play. I mean, outside of just throwing Frightener.
He's stuck. he's definitely stuck. Despite him being able to answer Sabbath, the double Moonlight and the Fog just proved to be so strong, and he was able to overcome Consume's round 1. This is so good for Asacop. If Asacop is able to win on even here with carryover, having Maruna in hand, despite his Sabbath being answered, he still has all the tools to win this game.
I do like Game King's strategy of, I got to win with Consume. Let's go, 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 go. Let's get those games in there. Let's see if I have a chance. Let's see if I can get through.
He has to pass. Oh, this is devastating for
There's
FL.
just no play. Yeah. Game King, AT, representing Austria, and Pittsburgh at the same time on Pittsburgh Knights. Asacop representing Team Aretuza. Last Polish player standing here in a 4 Polish player tournament in Poland. Last hope here. Asacop never winning a title. Game King has won a Gwent Slam, but as far as official Gwent Masters, both players are looking for titles. Both great players that haven't gotten it yet. The only chance
he does draw into the Necker, which will be able to overcome the Alpha Werewolf in case Asacop were to dry pass, but it doesn't seem like he's going to do that. Asacop is going in. Asacop is going in.
Now, it's actually interesting. I'm not even sure if I've seen this interaction here. The Alpha Werewolf was procced in round 1, but in the round carryover, it can be reprocced by the Moonlight.
It has an ability, it'll just be reprocced again.
There was, but I mean, every time you reapply them, there was a version where there was an issue with reprocking on Werewolves. So I'm trying to think if it's always been like this, and I'm just unfamiliar with this situation where you would adrenaline rush the Alpha Werewolf. But in any case, if you were curious about the interaction, it does reproc. I think if you clear and redo the Moonlight, it does reproc. So this is not, it's not that noteworthy, I suppose. Here comes Brewis for perhaps the double Necker play. Just to, he's safer this way. He knows that the Mandrake is out. He knows that if he needs to squeeze value out of, he can play the Forktail right here. Asacop, maybe trading Frighteners, but like you said, Mogwai, Frightener is a big deal for Maruna. Which is hard, right? It's your solution for Maruna, but your solution is giving your opponent 13 points as well.
He still does have Monster's Nest, though. He can still draw into it.
Asacop is staring down Game King a lot in this match. I love it. He's like, what do you got? What do you got?
This is really intense here. It's gonna come down to like what Game King opts to drop. Like, will he go for the Slizzer play onto the Forktail, or will he react with his own Frightener? If he does that, he gives Asacop like this makes it so that Asacop's Maruna will pretty much be unanswerable, which is definitely.
I mean, when you Maruna unanswered, I mean the reason why Maruna is so vulnerable is because an unanswered, that's one of the cards that's just unanswered is so completely devastating, especially in a deck that relies on large boosted units. So every piece of Asacop's lineup there's a consideration. There's a consideration because when you target in Conquest, as long as the deck that you're targeting doesn't get through, you are assured victory. That's why I think if Game King is able to get a breakthrough game with Consume, I'm on my feet for the rest of the series, Mogwai. It just changes everything so much.
What will Game King do here?
Game King has to win the round 2, so even if he solves Maruna, if he doesn't draw something that can get him the edge, Asacop does have passive point generation in Moonlight. He does have the 12-point play in Alpha Werewolf, which isn't bad when you're trying to bleed your opponent in the first place, and the score is this close. The Frightener is.
This Maruna is going to be devastating. This Maruna is going to seal the deal for Asacop if Game King can't. Like I'm trying to see like how he can evade this, but he's just stuck. The fact that he lost on even, that Maruna is just so powerful here.
Forktail is going to get him like very, very far ahead. That's for sure.
Yeah, like
even on one consume of the Necker, you're going to be pulling off. You're going to be pulling out the 15. Plus, you get all the procs on the board as well. So you get 1, 2, 3, and then you cycle one here. Comes out. It's going to be another 16-point Necker coming out, or depending on which of the Necker Warrior options
this
it is.
Forces the pass.
Yeah, it's just too big here.
But here's the thing. He still has the Frightener. Oh man, it just really comes down to a lot of the draws here, though. Like I honestly have lost. I have to look at his graveyard. He did decoy the Necker Warrior. How many does he have left? Okay, so we see 1, 2, 3.
There's 4 in there now. After that consume, there were 3 there. So he did play 2 Necker Warriors.
Well, he decoyed a Necker Warrior. Necker Warrior.
Yeah.
So I believe he has extra. Like It's really hard. Like with us not being able to check the graveyard constantly, like it's really hard to keep track of it all. But I'm pretty sure Game King still has a lot of steam. The question is, will he be able to overcome this Maruna? It comes down to that.
Low draw there.
Yeah, that's not a good card for Asacop here. He's going to mulligan away the werewolf.
Ooh,
he
that's
does.
Arguably not
yeah,
better.
that's
worse.
This is pretty weak. Like it comes down to Maruna.
Oh, but I mean, yeah.
It comes down.
Just,
oh, but he mulligans it away. Oh.
So Asacop, I mean, Asacop it's uninterrupted, right? I mean, well, okay, so Asacop leads off with Moonlight, probably, because he just wants to play. He knows that Weather isn't going to clear it, so he's just going to play Alpha. He can play Moonlight first, Alpha Werewolf into the Moonlight, and then to see where things land here. Game King, I don't think can set up a board where Maruna is not backbreaking, even if it's not like the largest unit in his deck. It's still just a huge swing, +4 on top of that as well. So
that's why that's the thing. Like Brewis is a great way to play around Maruna a little bit because you spread out your neckers and you have like multiple sources. This is gonna be. Like, I mean, I think Maruna may just be enough here. Like
he can consume the unit off the row, and Asacop does not have access to anything that can move one of Game King's
No, but the problem is he plays Alpha Werewolf, and now Game King plays his last card. Like because
I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah, because Asacop won uneven. That was everything.
Yeah.
And Game King wasn't able to. Game King had to go down one card because of Asakov's carryover through Adrenaline Rush. He's put him in a position in which Maruna literally cannot be countered. Like it will not be countered. And like these other two cards, like technically he has like 2 6-point cards, but the Maruna is just going to be so many points that it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I mean, we might just see the old escape enter here. I mean,
we'll see.
No, I mean,
well, we'll see because it depends. Maruna right now is looking to be something like 30 something at the very least. Because if he gets, it depends on what he does with his Phoenix, right? Because if he goes for Slizzard, then this is.
I mean, it's at least 15. At the very least. 15 swing, of course, so making 30 points.
Yeah, it's over 30 points.
Yeah.
It's over 9,000!
It might as well be over 9,000. Well, a loss is a loss, right? It might as well be. We're just
All right, here we go.
Game King's
Slizzard onto Forktail, I believe.
We let go of the wheel, Mog, right? We're just letting it happen.
All right. That's easy. That's easily enough.
As soon as that touches down,
that's GG. That's too strong.
I mean,
Asacop's got him. Maruna.
In both games where Maruna has been clutch, it basically looks
too powerful. Asacop with the win, despite having his Sabbath answered. He goes on to 2-0, able to shut down Game King right there. Is there anything he could have done to avoid that? I don't know.
That
Maruna devastating.
Game King's approach of queuing in Consume with each of these means that if he's trying to catch the matchup he wants, he's going to get it. I think that, didn't he say that he felt like he's strongest against Croc on Crate? This could be the breakthrough game?
It's his chance.
I mean,
like, it is. I mean, technically, like the fact that he had Mandrake was good, but I mean, this is the matchup in which he may. I do believe that when it comes to this Consume deck, the Croc on Crate list is the least unfavorable matchup for him. It's still, he has Muzzle, Coral, Geralt Digny, Mandrake, but...
Renew for Coral? Wait, no, Asacop not running Renew, Muzzle instead. But Muzzle is also very strong. You've got the heart of an uncrate.
It comes down, he's going, okay. Veterans versus Great. I don't know about this match. Wait.
Now, I think...
I don't know about this. Why did he have to go with this? I'm a little bit confused here.
Now, I've played this matchup a lot.
I mean,
not with these variants
with every one of his decks anyways, right? But I'd argue this is his worst matchup.
It's interesting. I was going to say I like Game King's approach of just trying to catch the matchup that he wanted so he can break through. Obviously, clearly being big picture oriented, Game King's like, well, if I don't win this series, then whatever. He just wants to win. He's a competitor, so he's trying to find the best way to win. But in this situation here, I guess he honestly believes that going in on red with veterans, being able to set up, being able to pass at the right time, and hopefully answer Greatswords or answer, he, on Game King's side, he also has, his Coral and Coral into Renew. So that means that he can answer like giant ships, brick Corsairs, Usually the Greatswords aren't a huge problem because you yourself on the veteran side have like massive plays from the graveyard in the first place. So those kind of cancel out. The Greatswords aren't really the point generators. The ships are the real scary part. So if Game King's able to, he has Mandrake to make a ship down to 1 point in the graveyard, which just really slows things down. Also can help him win a round. Coral and Mandrake, I think, is definitely puts us in a good spot here. He does have Skjal into Ulderic with Morkvarg in hand, which means that he can play a veteran from Croc on Crates, which is exactly what he wants to do. I think Game King might be in a pretty strong position here with Coral and Mandrake.
I once lopped off 3 heads with 1 blow.
And also knowing that Asacop is running Igni, so he will likely not play into it.
KB has no other play here than to go for the Spear Maiden onto the Two-Switch Hunter to pick off the Greatsword. And this, because Asacop led off with the Greatsword here, it enables him to drop his ship and immediately threaten Game King with, cool story bro sword growth.
Right?
As Coral is the most important card for Game King in this matchup by far. And because he does have Renew, he actually is encouraged to play it round 1. The question is when and what will he target? Obviously, Mandrake will be targeting one of the ships as they do boost in strength.
This is actually really interesting. One of the things that I liked about Asacop's list is that in his Greatsword list, he's not running Spear Maidens. Instead, he's running the single Tursark Bearmaster, which makes a Restore. You see it in his hand. He has 1 of. It makes Restore a little bit more reliable, makes Freya's a little bit more reliable because the ship can kill the Bearmaster early. But because he's not running... Whoa, you coraled the Greatsword. I didn't see that coming. But I just want to finish my thought here. Because he's not running Spear Maiden, Game King would be less likely to use Coral on the ship early because you know that Spear Maiden is going to pull out another ship. Your Pyre Captains usually do this as well. Asacop only running 2 of those on top of that. But here comes the Freya. The Freya is activated, getting the Greatsword out here. I gotta say, Coral on the Greatsword, when you have the ability to re-Coral and perhaps Mandrake the ship and brick Corsairs, and you have everything I said seemed to make. I mean, I convinced myself that the ship would always be the removal target.
If Game King found a way to deal with this Greatsword, he would effectively shut down Asacop for this round, unless Asacop was able to play a spy into another one. But he's going to go for a Croc and Crate onto the 2-Charge Veteran. I'm still wondering why Game King opted to go with this matchup. I think obviously he wants to go on red, but he could have waited for like the final matchup. I do believe, well, maybe he feels like this is more likely to win than his consume because of Asacop's tech options. But it's still, like, the thing is, Veteran is a very undisruptible strategy as it does have a bunch of deploy effects, and the carryover game plan is also managed through deploys through the 2-Charge Veteran, so it is very hard to disrupt as a game plan, but at the same time, it does not have the proactive potential that the likes of Greatswords has. So it's gonna be tough, especially the fact that he's not able to answer this Greatsword here. He's already dropped the Coral as well. I also am curious to see when he will establish the Morkvarg. It's looking rough for Game King, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Game King is going to be playing Morkvarg from hand probably soon. I mean, setting up the veterans is always strong here. He does have Skjal into Ulderic as an option. The other thing I also wanted to mention, I touched upon Igni briefly, and that Game King does know that Igni is in Asacop's deck. However, veterans does suffer from having a lot of 11-point units. And,
yeah, but a good veteran unit doesn't line up I don't think.
Of course. Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. He can't give Asacop the round control to put him in a situation where the likelihood of being able to produce double 11s on a row. I mean, Asacop isn't running the movement list here. Now, Game King, obviously, like taking an Igni here. If you think your opponent's never going to play into it. Like Igni is an interesting tournament choice because of how much work it can get done for you when your opponent is not sure, and then what it does to board states and decision making when it's you have to play against what the best thing your opponent possibly could have in their deck. So Asacop may just take the opportunity just to stay in this round because Greatswords love a long round. They love a short round, but they definitely love a long round to build up their Greatswords for their graveyard play. The Mandrake is going to solve one of these ships for sure.
Down goes the 3rd veteran for Game King, getting him a total of 11 points ahead of from Asacop. Asacop has managed to get the Greatsword ticking a little bit late into the round, but still to the point where it can be very threatening towards Raphael here. I'm honestly not sure when either player will opt to play their spy.
Igni also helps Asacop in that situation as well. So there is always that plus that Igni has always had. In a world with the old disloyal spies, we're going to see the future of Igni, but in the present, it's definitely a real threat here for Game King. Both players do have access to spy, and it looks like we're going to see it here.
Go at them together.
Here it is. Oh, okay. I think you take this Agrifa, right? Like, I mean, muzzle can be key against Morkvark, but I don't think Asacop has any way to actually get Morkvark damage, so he has to take Agrifa here.
Yeah.
Muzzle is actually a pretty underwhelming card in this matchup, so it's not bad for him to get it out of the way.
Part of the consideration for Game King as well, just knowing how. The consume lineup at this point for Game King, it could be that Game King now, should he win this game and should he win the second game, may only revisit consume when it's the final game. But he just tried to get those breakthrough games 1 and 2, and then he just honestly believed that this was his great matchup. In the situation where you go down 0-2, you do control the matchups from that point. You know exactly your opponent has to win with their final deck, so you can just play to your best possible matchup. So in this situation, Game King believed that Veterans had the best possible matchup because there was no confusion.
And Game King will force Scout into Ulrich here in between the ship and the Greatsword. It will disrupt the Greatsword's growth, but I believe he will still stay ahead because it is a -8 tempo play for him, and the Greatswords are going to grow, but I do believe that he can afford to do that, and he will still stay ahead, and he would revert the coin flip back in his favor. But he opts to play Morkvark instead. Now this puts Asacop in a bit of a precarious position because if Asacop keeps playing into this round and he does not overcome Game King's strength points, he does become vulnerable to losing the ability to dry pass on his opponent if you want to, and potentially going down one card into the last round. But if you're Greatsword, you don't care as much about that, I think, in this matchup.
Is he going to try to find Morkvark with Heim?
He could.
He could do that.
He could.
I mean,
that would be
the likelihood
massive.
Of that is...
Wait, let's take a look at
100%.
100%?
So, I'm looking at Freddie Babe's list. My apologies.
No, it is 100%.
It is 100%.
Sagrifa, Scout, and Morkvark.
And Udalric isn't the pick. It is 100%.
He's going for it. Yep, he's going.
Oh, okay.
Deny. All right.
On that wavelength. Okay.
Not bad. Not bad. Heim just showing why he's perhaps the best Skellige going.
Well, especially in the Skellige, especially when you're against Skellige, as Skellige.
I think against anything, really. He's nuts.
But then, add that and add Sigdrifa into that pool of things that you can take. Sigdrifa obviously being
in
great.
The mirror, he's
it only
insane.
matters,
Yeah.
So, and Morkvark as well. I mean, especially when the carryover really matters. Now, a tie on carryover, you can pass. You can do the open pass in round 2. And Game King, with the option with me, he has Mandrake in hand. I don't know if he would think.
Now Game King has lost his chance to basically play Scout and still stay ahead. If he plays Scout now, he will not be able to, he will fall behind. This will basically make them tie, but then the two ships proccing here will enable Asacop to get in. Actually, wait.
I mean, he'll be able to. I mean, Asacop's Igni is.
This is a tie. This is a tie because the ships will proc at the end of the turn. So this is a tie here. So if Asacop passes here, we may just see a draw, or we may see Game King take the. So this is interesting.
Great tie.
What do you
Deadlocked
do?
at 85 here. I think Igni, you take it. Honestly, it's 18 points. It's just a dominant play. You're going to take out Udalric here. It's exactly how you set it up. You do know that you have carryover protection, sort of, in the round win here. The open pass becomes unavailable. So, I mean, it's easily the highest tempo play here. Croc is huge, as well as Asacop at this point is pulling Genja. Of course, the Genja Fret combo is live here with Asacop. So Croc is a massive, massive play. Greatsword on the board as well. Although it would be, and it's going to be healed up, ready for damage on the next turn. He can't restore into Croc because you do have to play a card from hand, and Sigdrifa is not available, so he has to play Croc. Asacop only has 1 turn left, so he's pushing with the big card here. He's taking that Igni opportunity, knowing that Croc is also going to land him a ton of value.
It's important to note how key Asacop's long ship positioning there is. The fact that he played the second one right next to the first one takes a lot of power out of Mandrake onto the first ship. So that's very important.
Yeah.
Because that ship would be way bigger if he hadn't done that, and because of that, Mandrake would be way more valuable. So
16 points,
forcing Game King to pass, giving Greatswords the control wheel here, and also the ability to dry pass as well, as their carryovers do mirror each other.
Yeah, the Heim looks really good there.
Giving him last say, which is super important because he can dodge a Renew into a Coral, potentially, on the big Greatsword. We're going to see what Asacop opts to do here, though.
Asacop's hand is all resurrection based. 100%
Game
resurrection.
King's got power, though.
Game King
Hive
swapped
and
out.
Triss.
Game King swapped with the Bearmaster because of the likelihood of getting it from Triss. Also, he has a very heavy resurrection hand as well. And this is it. Now, if this is exactly how Asacop planned it, I would imagine this would be the pass. Game King is forced to play a card, but we got to look right. Asacop with the Restore on Pirate Captain or perhaps the Bearmaster, double Corsair for ships, which haven't been Mandrake, so they are at full power. Sigdrifa, of course, can bring back a giant Greatsword, and then Croc has the huge Genja play. And if the Restore perhaps goes on, no, there's only one Greatsword in the graveyard, so Genja will be able to proc on a undamaged Greatsword, so Asacop does have.
Asacop really
The game plan is pretty much secure as far as how he wants to do it.
He's forced to
There it
pass.
is.
It's
There
too
it is.
risky. It's too risky. Now, we see a Mandrake from Game King onto the Morkvark to establish 3 points worth of carryover. Honestly, I don't think Mandrake will find that much value against the ship in a.
I think the round might be long enough.
Yeah, but will it be good enough? Compared to his other cards, will it really represent more value than any other card in his hand? Because he needs I don't know. I'm not sure. We're talking about a 6-card round 3 here. I think you Mandrake onto the Morkvark and you get 3-point carryover. I don't think the round is long enough, especially considering Asacop will stack the ships one against each other, so he'll do it again. He knows he's playing Mandrake. I would expect the Mandrake.
Oh man, an every point matters situation here.
Yep. You go for the proactive Mandrake here, and you get 3 points worth of carryover, which can go a long way.
It'll be a 5-2 Morkvark face-off to get this
this
started.
can go a long way. I'm honestly not sure who takes it here, because this is not a long enough round, I believe, for Asakov's engine to really be as impactful. And Game King's hand is looking really powerful. Game King's hand is looking like straight up fire.
This is
Aggression.
outside of the Renew and the Coral, Game King has a stellar hand. He's been mulliganing his way with his Bearmaster, so he has Bearmasters on the Reconnaissance, which means that his Triss is likely to hit a Freya, which is going to get another Bearmaster. Sigdrifa can be played for the veteran later because there's going to be a lot of onboard value. Game King still being able to have Heim, which means that he can play Sigdrifa twice. He actually played 2 veterans on a huge board full of Trissark units. Meanwhile, Asacop has all of his tools for the graveyard. He'll be able to bring back the Greatswords. He's got 2 ships with the Corsairs. He has Restore on a Bearmaster in his own graveyard. So you're kind of mixing and matching techs here. And tricks, you got Morkvark coming out on the Greatsword side, Bearmaster coming out on the Greatsword side.
I don't know. It comes down to the length of this round. It comes down to the ships actually getting good value here. Asacop is also playing around the potential of Renew into Coral, even though we do know that Game King has not drawn into Renew. He was fishing for it. That's why he blacklisted the Freya right there. He did draw into a Recon. And Game King's bronze plays are really powerful here. We see the Bearmaster representing 15 points. Sigdrifa onto Spear Maiden. It seems.
The thing is, I was talking about on-board value, but the Bearmasters are all in the deck as well, so a veteran now would be fine, but the Spear Maiden also...
No, yeah, this is definitely stronger.
The thing
this
about...
is definitely better.
With Triss and Recon available, access to the Bearmasters, he does want to thin...
Gods are blowing fair winds.
This is perfect, because Recon will fish for Freya, and so will... Because I believe he still has 2 Freyas left in his deck.
Yeah.
So Triss and Recon it's perfect thinning, while his Heim can represent a Janga or a Sigdrifa as well. It's a difference
of a couple points here and there. Like we see Asacop placing the ship next to Morkvark, which gets some extra value as Morkvark does come back a little bit longer and just kind of feed more points to the ship.
The Greatsword is not that big.
No,
it's 14 points. This is going to be tight, I think.
Comparing to Vets, the graveyard game from Asacop much weaker, but that Croc play is nothing to discount.
The difference here is the pressure is all on Game King. If he loses, wait. Oh, okay.
He's not restoring the Bearmaster.
No, because he wants to proc it and restore it now.
Of course.
Yeah, he wants to restore it now and then resurrect the Greatsword. He's playing. The thing is, Asacop is actually missing out on points because he's playing around Renew into Coral.
But his hand is so strong.
Yeah, but Game King has the lead here.
Yeah, he does.
Game King has the lead.
Healthy lead. Another Freya.
Gonna go for the Freya right there.
Modern Freyr is patient.
Igni out of the question now.
Looks
Put the
no
bear
insult.
wherever you want.
I'm gonna drop that two-touch Hunter, gonna hit one of the ships for 5 damage. Game King with a considerable lead here. Asacop has some catching up to do, but if Game King loses this matchup, it's all over for him.
So many points right here.
Yeah, this is a 19-point restore. It's not. I don't think it's as enough. This is. Oh man, this is tight.
Come here.
And then we're going to see Sigdrifa into the
16
Sigdrifa
points
into the
behind.
Greatsword, and then Croc into Genja to proc the Greatsword's heal effect. It is close.
14-point two-touch Hunter and a Heim, which I'm not sure. I
Heim
have to
into
look back
Sigdrifa
at his.
probably.
Does he have the third Hunter in his graveyard? Well, we'll look now. Yeah,
He
okay. So
does.
I believe that Heim will be Heim Sigdrifa into Hunter here, and he can use it to knock out the ship if he wants to. Yeah, he's going Sigdrifa into the two-touch Hunter, I would believe, unless the veteran is somehow more points. I'm not sure.
There's a lot of, yeah, so there's...
There's an 11-point, veterans was stronger. Wait, what's stronger here? Hunter is 14, veteran is 1, 2, 3, 4. Veteran's stronger. I believe veteran is 1
4
point
choice
stronger.
units on the board.
There's 4 and there's 1 in his hand.
Yeah.
Goddess, protect you from all evil.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to play around Igni anymore.
I
That's
mean, this is-
very powerful.
It's on, we're going from here now.
He's
Hunter's
got
gonna
him.
drop down for the
Game
15
King's got
pointer.
him. Game King has managed to defeat Greatswords with veterans.
Genja's not gonna get there. Genja's really strong, but
Not strong enough. Wait. Math. By 5 points, Game King is still in it, boys.
I was actually thinking like, ooh, I would hate to get this call wrong. But you know, Game King saw it.
Wow.
Game King saw the matchup. He's like, okay, it's funny, man. If he thought that was, I mean, Renew changes that significantly. It's not that close if Game King draws into Renew. But that matchup, it was interesting. The denial of the Greatsword. I'm gonna ask him about that. Denial of the Greatsword instead of denying Asacop's Corsairs, because the Corsairs really got Asacop close. The Mandrake was. Ultimately,
Well, but at the same time,
the
like,
Mandrake, I mean, it was so close. The Mandrake on the Morg farm was a huge thing.
I'm telling you, like,
Bits and
I
points.
like that proactive Mandrake play a lot. Like, 3
Twist
points
on
can
veteran?
go a long way.
I mean, if you're complacent and you're not really realizing the veteran was more there, like it was just all of those little plays, 1 point here, and then here we go. Just like, yeah, Game King tried twice with Consume, and now it's like, all right. I'll save Consume if we have Game 5.
I expect a dry pass here from Game King, potentially. It is risky, but when you're facing Skellige Greatswords, dry passing against them, they're kind of forced to play into a round anyways, and it also gives you first say when going in the last round, and you can steal away their Greatsword with the Vigor of Aromatic. Obviously, a player of the caliber of Asacop will try to distribute his growths among multiple Greatswords and not focus mainly on one. And Game King does lack a little bit of, he lacks ways to disrupt that. So I think a dry pass here makes sense. But we may also see Game King just play into this round and try to find the path later down the line. You generally do want to lose round 1 against Greatswords, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, because then you have the first say in Act 3,
Exactly.
round 3 with the Vikavara Medic. And the other thing about
Yeah.
Greatsword, the other thing about Soldiers here is that Soldiers, since Greatswords doesn't, I mean, there is the muzzle, but that in this situation you're only really taking a sentry. But I mean, in this matchup here, Greatswords has such a strong long round with the way that they're developed, basically engines in Greatswords and in ships. But what Soldiers can do in a long round with multiple slave infantries, if your Vreemed hits the extra sentry or the extra slave infantry, it's an insane amount of points. I mean, just going off the 3 slave infantry, a sentry on 9 slave infantry is a 26-point bronze, and you have abilities of getting it much, much higher between decoy and
There's
Vreemed.
the dry pass.
There's the dry pass.
I love it.
Exactly,
I love it.
yeah.
This is the right pass.
So I think that it can compete with the engines to now put a period on the sentence
Oh, it
here
can
with
compete.
that pass.
It can obliterate them. The slaves, they're small and few at first, but if you let them rack up and you have such a proactive deck like the one Skellige Greatswords is, they get out of hand. They multiply, and then they build a wall and a bigger wall, and then just buff everything, and it just goes out of proportion. He has to. The key with the Soldiers deck is basically getting the right length for round 3. But in this particular matchup, it's just all about keeping that card. The thing here is though, Asacop does have access to his Silver Spy through Heim, while Game King does rely on thinning his deck and trying to fish for Cantarella through John Calvate. Otherwise, Asacop will be able to retain his card advantage here, and that is what Game King needs to try to avoid at all costs.
It's interesting because I feel like the Greatsword player in this matchup is actually put in a position that most other players try to put Greatswords into, where you're trying to split the round to minimize the potential of just running away with it, because much like Consume, in the ways that you mentioned about how the little guys just keep growing and growing, get bigger and bigger and swarm the board, it does need a little bit of setup to push. So if Asacop's able to, I mean, he does still want to set up his engine, so passive points are still really important, but Greatswords, as far as setup, one of the reasons why Greatsword is so strong is that in their setup, they're also tempoing out quite hard at the same time. Whereas Soldiers does need to find the best time to play sentries, need to thin and exhaust all the options, need to know if Reamd is going to get you another Slave Infantry or what's going to be on the board. Maybe you want to play it after the Slave Infantry because maybe you have to take an Alba Armored Cavalry or some other soldier that does have pseudo synergy. I mean, the thing about Reamd is that, like, what's the percentage of cards that are like awesome for soldiers that aren't Sentry and Slave Infantry? There's still like a number of them. Recruit is good.
There's a lot of like bad
Standard
pulls as
Bear
well.
is very good as well.
It's in a way kind of 50-50, but Remedy does have a lot of bad pulls, and it's going to be interesting to see what he gets. The problem with the Soldiers archetype is that it is very, very proactive. There's few, like, I believe Game King's only reactive card is actually Geralt Igni, which definitely puts him at a bit of a disadvantage when it comes to Greatswords if Asacop pilots it well. And what I mean by that is, here we see.
Oh, we just talked about it.
You take Alba Armored Cavalry.
I Nostradamus that because we were talking about the bad ones. I mean, obviously Pikeman and Darylin Foot Soldier and Spot are really bad, but in this situation, Enforcers aren't great, and Venendal is probably one of the worst ones you could get. So, still making it work because. Now.
The
he's
muzzle,
gonna take it.
Mine.
He's gonna take it.
Oh, that traitor.
Yeah,
that traitor.
That's the liability that in all of the conversations we just had about
bribery.
Reamd,
You joined the Skelligers. Oh, you filthy you. How dare you? I never liked him. He's kind of a...
Yeah, I didn't hear the heart when he yells Alba. It's like slow. It's not like T-Board.
It's forced.
He's not taking T-boards.
It's so forced.
He's not giving the good
fake.
Alba. Mogwai, show me how it's done.
Alba!
Attaboy.
There we go.
I mean, obviously, Muzzle coming. I mean, Muzzle is, that was... There's not a lot of great options. I mean, you do get to deny a sentry if you're trying to stop decoy. That's like one good reason for Muzzle to work here. But being able to take the Alba Armored Cavalry is just fine, right? It's just fine. 14 points on the Muzzle that grows. One more engine for Greatswords, like you need any more. Game King.
Potato Guy, aka the recruit, is going to go down here. Game King needs to pull the Slave Infantry, but he gets the Sentry instead. He can decoy this recruit though, and fish for the last Slave Infantry in his deck. Again, continuing his thinning so that when he goes for John Calvate, his precision is as accurate as it can be.
He's trying to find that Igni. So yeah, the thinner he gets at this point though, the thinning that Game King is doing is much higher tempo now because finding sentries, which he won't find because he's holding 2 of them. So the recruit, I believe, if decoyed, does hit Slave Infantry 100% of the time.
Instead. Interesting.
Triss's recon. Is there anything in the graveyard right now
I guess,
that he'd want to steal?
He may want to preserve.
Asacop just quickly checking for us. Very nice.
I guess he may want to preserve decoy for something else.
Gonna get some
Okay. That's perfect. That's perfect thinning actually. Yeah. That gets the second. I forgot he was playing 2 recruits. He gets the second recruit out of the deck and thins the Slave Infantry as well.
I believe the other options. I mean, that could have been a rough recon. He could have seen something like Nausicaa Sergeant Vicovaro Medic, which would have been.
Ooh, well, I think you take Coral here. Getting Uldric there set up on the back row while Game King.
Igni's always a threat here. You always have to think Asacop has at least 18 points of reach in Igni.
But Asacop wants to search for Cantarella, but the problem is he can't play her now because that'll just force a pass out of Asacop. This is going to be very interesting because Game King can just drop a Sentry here, but that just may. The thing is that may force a pass from Asacop, but at the same time, isn't that too long of a round against Soldiers? I'm not sure. Ooh, okay. Wait, what is left in his deck?
He could get Vigor Medic, which is really bad.
Or the Nausicaa Sergeant here.
Yeah, the
no,
Nausicaa Sergeant-
Vigor Medic is in his deck. Vigor Medic, yeah, it's just Nausicaa Sergeant.
Yeah, he just has
He's
the
just
one
thinning
of.
as much as he
He
can
just has
here.
the one of, right. So it's a novice or a sergeant. I think there's only two things. Oh,
Oh,
the Guardian.
The Guardian,
The
not bad.
Guardian, yes.
That gives him one hell of a coral target, though.
For some reason, I just had my eyes on the bronzes there.
Yeah,
but of course,
same here,
the
same
Sierra
here,
and
same
the
here.
Guardian were.
Yeah, it was
also
more likely
options
for
there.
him to pull that, yep. Game King really trying to stay in as much as possible to ensure they can get Cantrella here.
Watch us and keep us.
I mean, was that not a risky Joaquim? I mean, it's.
Well, it disrupts
Generally-
the Greatsword's growth. That's important. Like, it placed there. Like, I don't think it was really risky. Like, he
wants to save Calvet for trying to find Igni. I think at this point because
No. I think he wants Rainfart into Cantrella so he can get his card back potentially. Because
Okay.
Game King has no trouble like keeping up with tempo here. That Sentry in his hand is 26 points. So I do believe he just wants to try to.
Like,
Yeah,
there's
he
no
has
way
the
Game King loses this round now, right?
No, there's
like
no
at
way.
this
No,
point,
no.
at this point,
the 2-0 will not happen.
he would have to see triple ointment or something from Calvet for
Yeah.
it to be even possible. I think because the decoy onto either a sentry or like even a sentry right now. Vreem just trying. Game King's trying to roll into the highest possible chances here.
Oh boy, what did he get
see
here?
this time?
We can't see it. We need to switch in the camera
Edge
angle here.
of
What
my
does he choose
seat,
in
my
between?
friends.
Well, I guess
we
we'll
didn't
be
see the options,
surprised.
but we could
did
assume
see
that
the
Game King made
options.
the best choice.
All right, okay.
Nice choice.
Nausicaa Brigade. I mean, that's
Fits right into Joaquim, and that's kind of a little bit of maybe slightly like just
that's
advanced planning
16
there.
points decoy. That's fine. It's not amazing,
It
but
is
it's
well,
okay.
Relative to soldiers, it's not amazing,
Yeah.
but for decoy, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's all right.
Bearmaster set up for the graveyard for a potential restore play in the future. Also just fine to stay in this round here, but the game is just a little bit too close when you see two sentries in hand representing 26 points each. The Vicovaro, Medic, and Novice, however, are not good. But I think Game King can put himself in a
think you have to
position
play
that
Sentry here.
he can tempo out so far that he's forcing a pass.
I think you have to play Sentry here. Like
'Cause that's-
you can't play Vicovaro Medic. You can't play Vicovaro Novice. Your sentries will be weaker in a short round anyways, and Calvate is always more reliable. So unless you're searching for either something to keep you alive in this round or for your spy, like which you can't play right now, I think this is the turn to play sentry. Like he's forced to do it. It's a 26-point play, and it will get him ahead. Asacop may pass after this, so that'll make things very interesting. But you definitely have to play a sentry here.
I mean, the name of the game is dead cards, right? Game King's like, okay, well, Freys and Corsairs can't be used. Asacop's thinking, okay, well, Ointments and Vicos and Novices can't be used.
Ooh, Asacop is still pushing.
He does have the, he did put the Bearmaster in the grave. Yes, again, well, I was talking about this earlier, the choice of putting Bearmaster in instead of Spear Maiden. Actually does, specifically in this situation, give you one more option when you are trying to fight for a round. It actually, well, even though I missed the play, it does actually transition to what I was trying to say, that it's all about dead cards. And basically the Bearmaster into the ship revitalizes the Freya in the hand there. So
The problem here is there's some intense mind games going on. Game King is worried about Asacop having Geralt Igni.
both players are probably worried about Igni, right? Both
Because
players running it, neither player has it.
Yeah, if he plays Sentry here, he lines up the range row. See if we can have a look at the actual game. Yeah, he lines up the range row on the Igni right there because he would have 3/9 targets. So I'm pretty sure Game King is really thinking about that, and that's what's holding him back from playing his Sentry and what may make him play his Calvate here. The fear of the Igni on the range row is too big.
Got to put your opponent on the best possible thing if you really want to. If you
You-
really want to
you-
compete
yeah, he's
for the
going
round
for
here.
it. You need to play now. Oh, there it is. There it is.
Cantarella. Ooh, got to be fast, Game King. Make those decisions. Cantarella coming in.
Gotta play. Why are you playing it?
Quick
Why are you playing it
choice.
there?
Igni in the hand, Mogwai. Big deal.
And he does get Igni as well. I'm not sure why he played it there because you want that that Greatsword to keep on growing. You want to disrupt the second one, the weak one here. This is
thinking about-
risky for Asacop. Like to still play into this is definitely that Igni can just solidify Game King's position here and enable him to preserve one card over Asacop. I'm not sure.
Oh, man, going down
Is
two
that
cards.
Cantrella placement correct? Like,
This
wouldn't
is
it be
the
better
turning
to
point if there
place
is one.
on the second one? Because well, I mean, those two Greatswords are pretty similar in size at this point, right? And I mean, he's gonna be able to damage it anyways.
Asacop hitting the ship just to make sure nothing lines up as far as like for Igni. So there would have been two. Well, it just takes value away from the Igni. It's just like a little. That's not as crucial as I thought. I thought he was trying to avoid a lineup, but
it takes 1 point from the Igni. Again, Game King is very worried about Igni on the range row, even though we do know Asacop does not have it. But Game King is not a psychic, so he has to try to play around that. So we may see. I mean, he knows Ointment is at the top of his deck. The problem is there's not like a worth unless he plays Vogelforts onto like. See, you don't want to play Vogelforts. Here's the thing. Ooh, he's going for it now. Okay.
He's going to try to steal. Well, this takes the restore option away from the Bearmaster. So I think that this is probably one of the things you want to. I mean, obviously taking a huge Greatsword away is important, but when you, I mean, what does restore target without a Spear Maiden? It targets a Pirate Captain, I suppose. In that situation, I don't know about that. I mean,
he's going for the is he going for the proactive Mandrake here onto
Mandrake up on the Greatsword?
Onto the Greats.
If he does,
No, he's going for the reactive one onto. Yeah, he's still preserving Coral though, which is interesting because he's already revealed his Vic of Aromedic. This lead for Asacop is.
I mean, he's committed. He's like 2 cards down.
Though.
This is how it's going. Now, Igni's a 31 pointer plus the value you would put on.
This Vic of Aromedic enables him to play the Sentry now, basically. But this is looking really tough for. Oh wait, is he? Oh, is he gonna Vogelforce into Ointment? He's gonna Vogelforce into Ointment. He's gonna Vogelforce the Bearmaster. This enables his Ointment play as well.
King King's running out of room on his board, my friends.
Yeah.
This is a full one.
Interesting choice.
Taking a peek here. Deck's real thin right now. We already saw the Ointment from John Calvis, so this was a sure thing.
Oh man, but he's gonna get out muscled though, isn't he?
Attack done.
This is such a nice little trick here you can do with the Bearmaster as Nilfgaard.
He needs to do this
soldiers.
because otherwise he also lines up in every single one of these plays for Game King. He's playing around Geralt Igni.
Udoric covers him on the siege row, so he can play the 2 bears on ranged and melee. Man, in the face of taking 2 cards, Asacop committing to go in here.
But the question is this play solid? Because he's 30 points behind. Like, if Asacop passes here, doesn't he get 1 extra card from Game King?
Nope. 31 points. Igni does it.
No, but he has Greatswords and three ships.
Yeah.
I think Asacop can pass here. I think because of his fear of Geralt Igni, I think he just granted Asacop the perfect pass. This is the perfect pass for Asacop. Unless I'm missing something here. His Sentry is 26 points. Wait, it's 26 points. Asacop has to pass here. This is Asacop's pass. Yeah, he's got him here. He's got him. He's absolutely got him with this.
Yeah, there's no. Well, I mean, the thing is, now did the Game King want to go down a card? Well, God, what is soldiers in the short round?
He's got him with this. No, this pass is victory for Asacop here. Like that, overextended precaution against Igni is going to cost Game King this game. Asacop just pushing deep enough, and yeah, this Sentry is not enough. Gonna be forced to play the Geralt Igni right here, and gonna go down into round 3 against Greatswords, 1 card down.
Oof, man!
With an 18-point resurrection. This is all she wrote, folks. Asacop is gonna take this.
I mean. As far as a short round, Mogwai, like what can soldiers really do? I mean,
I'm thinking
with a 4-card round, you do have
he's played all his golds.
You have the 2 ointments in your deck. I mean,
he's already played 2 of his ointments.
He played 2 of the ointments. He played 1 on the Bearmaster.
This is I mean, he does have first save with his ear. He can try to deny the resurrection game right there. Like.
Yeah, but that means he would have to go into this. Oh, it's round 3. We're in round 3
wait. How many Greatswords? Wait, how many Greatswords has? Wait, how many Greatswords?
2. There were 2 on the board.
Did he play the 3rd Greatsword?
I do not believe. We've seen 3 Greatsword games in a row. I do not believe.
Wait. Is he gonna deny the Freya here?
You can't deny everything though. There's the 2 Greatswords. Yeah, they're 16 and 18.
And he stole the Bearmaster. If he returns double Greatsword, he denies the Freya. If he
I
has
mean-
to deny the Freya, if he returns double Greatsword, he makes the Freya a 1-point play.
Yeah, I mean, no, he's
He
thinking about it.
He has to do it. He has to go for it. He's
this
denied the
Freya right
Freya.
Okay.
He has denied the Freya here. This is huge.
Mordred Freyr is
Oh,
patient.
that
Oh,
Robert
the
Cavalry!
I forgot.
We forgot about the extra
Okay.
soldier
Oh.
from the muzzle.
The muzzle. Just
we
completely
forgot. I mean,
changes
it's
this.
not like he's. It just it's a difference of. Well, it's a difference of a
No,
significant amount of points.
it's
Significant,
huge. It's
significant.
huge. It went from being a one. Oh man, oh that muzzle though.
I don't think that was an oversight from Game King.
Don't like you.
But definitely Asacop, the muzzle really paid off in a matchup that you wouldn't think would pay off so much.
He's got him. Azakov's got him. He's gonna get the third victory, and he will advance
This
to
series
the
was so
finals, defeating Game King, taking down the King himself, denying the Neckers, and also overcoming the Soldier matchup. Good game by Asacop.